Mr. Chairman, many people may not know this, but NBC News recently reported that more than 400 illegal aliens who are affiliates of ISIS were released into the United States under this administration's watch. Now, they've caught some of them, but they still have a significant number of them out. And you know what they said? Gee, if we could have enforced the law, we wouldn't have released them into the country, and we could have rounded them up, prevented them from ever getting into the country. Now, the reason I bring that up is because I'm speaking in support of my amendment, which prohibits the use of funds to pay the salary and expenses of the position of the DHS secretary. Now, who is the DHS secretary? Who is this individual? It's the person who's been the architect of the open border policy. I think one of my colleagues from Florida recently called it on the floor here just a moment ago. She said it's a fictional invasion. Really? 10 million people in 2.5, 3 years now. They started setting records when? February 2021. They've set records every month since. Now, who's in charge of that? Alejandro Mayorkas, the secretary. In fact, this body was so disenchanted with his policies that we impeached Secretary Mayorkas. When he's confronted, do you have operational control of the border? He said in a judiciary hearing, you know what? Hey, we don't like that. At first he said, yes, we have operational control. We gave him the statute. Are you in operational control? Well, we basically devised our own definition. That's the person who's occupying the Homeland Security chair right now. And they have incentivized literally millions of people to come into this country. That's the lawlessness that has brought people to their knees in many communities around this country. We're still trying to get information from the DHS and the Department of Defense about the terrorists who attempted to infiltrate Quantico just about 6 weeks ago. I get a kick when I hear Democrats say that the so-called bipartisan bill out of the Senate would have solved this problem. You know what that bill did? It granted amnesty. You know what it did? It set a floor of 2,500 illegal aliens every day get to come in. Guess what else it did? They provided loophole after loophole. There's no limit on an unaccompanied child. An unaccompanied child, hundreds of thousands have come in. They've misplaced over 100,000 now. Yes, they're just so irresponsible. We heard people talk about an ineffective and outdated policy. You know what worked? That ineffective and outdated policy. You know why? Because it secured the border. We had the most secure border in about, our nation's history under President Trump. They came in, President Biden issued 93 EOs. Guess what? You have mass invasion on the border. And what's it called? They called it a useless border wall. You know who voted for that border wall originally? That's right, people like Hillary Clinton. They voted for that border wall. They don't want a border wall. I can take into place. I have on my phone images from the Tucson sector of people dressed in camel bringing drugs across, just interdicted the other day. You know why they were going near the San Miguel gate, which I've taken you to before? Is because there's no fence. In Arizona, we largely have no fences. Here's the deal. This Homeland Security Secretary is the one who gave us this policy. And I can say what I heard from these people. I can say what they've said. They said, and I'm quoting, ineffective, outdated policies. They said these people are legally entitled to refugee status. Under what law? Under international law? Well, how about the First Safe Nation law? They are required to obey that. And guess what? That's what the U.S. law is as well. The first safe harbor, the first safe state. That's where someone who wants refugee status comes in. But they're not seeking refugee status. They're seeking asylum. And you know who sought asylum? The two outrageous murderers who just murdered that 12-year-old girl in Houston. They were released under asylum requests. They went and had the cartel cut off their ankle bracelet. That's what's happening. That's why this secretary, this position, which we are defunding correctly under the Holman Rule, should not be funded, Mr. Chairman.